everybody, it's Rebecca here at Y Mermaids, and welcome to another edition of Monthly Recommendations. Monthly Recommendations is a Goodreads group created by Trina at Between Chapters and Kayla Rain, two of my best booktube buddies, and this is a group where every month we recommend books based on a very specific topic. It's super awesome, it's a good way to broaden your mind to new books based on that topic, and I just really like it. It's a good chance to talk about books that I don't necessarily talk about that often. So, this month is May, and the topic is friendship stories. So stories that have really strong friendships, because so often in books it all just boils down to the love relationship, and sometimes we don't want that. We want a good friendship story. So I have some good friendship stories for you today, and now these are mostly stories that focus on the friendship, with the exception of like a few of them that have a bigger story, but the friendships are really strong. So the first one being, of course, Harry Potter, because duh, like I have to, if you've watched my channel, then you know. Harry Potter is an amazing book, but in addition to the fantasy and the wonderful world building and like deep messages of love and loss and just amazingness, there's also at its core a very, very, very strong friendship between Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and to the extent Neville and Luna and Ginny, and then you have the Marauders. There's just so many different levels of friendship going on here, but the Golden Trio really shows what a good friendship can be and what it can look like, and how Harry can't do it on his own. He has to have his friends there to help him. I mean, in the end, it usually ends up being him by himself, but he would never get that far if it weren't for his friends. And you see that in the very first book, and I love it. I love their strong relationships. It really is what's at the core of those books for me in a lot of ways. On a similar line, I'm also going to mention Lord of the Rings, because the relationship between Sam and Frodo is also a super strong friendship, because, I mean, Sam comes along on this entire journey across Middle-earth just to be there for Frodo because they're friends, and he is like the best friend a person could ever have. If you want to look at good friendship, look at Sam and Frodo. Look at the way that how Sam treats Frodo and what he does for him, and just like, ugh, it makes my like heart bleed a little bit. It's so good. It's so good. And this is all in the midst of like this big gigantic, you know, end of the world epic adventure to save the world. My other slightly more adventurous story that deals with a friendship, and kind of a part of it, is Red Rising, because Red Rising at its entire scope is a war dystopian situation where, you know, the lows are trying to overthrow the top and whatnot, and infiltration, but it's also about our main character Darrow learning how to become a leader and how to trust the people around him, and the friendships that he kind of creates in the situation. Some of them are amazing, and like Severo and Darrow is like bromance at its best, and just the way that he has to rely on his friends. And it also shows the negative sides of friendships, and how if you use a friend the wrong way, it can backfire towards you pretty badly. So watch out for that too. So again, if you haven't been tempted to read Red Rising yet on my channel, I'm just gonna keep talking about it until one day you pick it up too, and you'll see what the fuss is all about, because I do love it so much. Oh, to bridge the gap between my like fantasy story that has a strong friendship to my strong friendship stories is Vicious by VE Schwab, which is a fantasy story. It's about these guys who get superhero powers in the real world, but it's also these guys were like best friends at the time, and then things happen and they get torn apart, and so again it's like a friendship gone bad kind of situation. But at the same time, Eli and Victor does create kind of this new group around him of friends. It's no romance in there at all at this point, and so it's just about him and his friends trying to kind of take revenge on his former best friend. So again, it's friendship, but it's more of a negative friendship. I guess it works if you want negative friendship, but with a fantasy twist. There you go. It's kind of like Charles Xavier and Magneto. Like, they're best friends at the core, but they have very strong different opinions. So moving into my more like traditional friendship type stories, we have Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables is one of my favorite stories of all time. It's amazing. I read the books when I was older at like the perfect time in my life, and I just connected so well with Anne. Just so, in so many levels. I am Anne. It's my middle name too, by the way. So anyway, Anne of Green Gables is about, you know, a young orphan girl who goes to live with this retired couple in Canada, but it's also about her growing up and her friendship. And her friendship with Diana Barry is amazing. Like they're called bosom buddies because they're just best friends through everything, anything and everything. And it's just a really, I mean, I just love Anne of Green Gables so much. So, but the friendship is a very strong part of it because these friendships last with Anne throughout the series as she grows up. And it's not just Diana Barry, there's other ones. There's Gilbert and some other people. And also just her relationships with her adoptive parents, Marilla and Matthew, and how those kind of become into more of a friendship type situation as well. It's just a beautiful story that everybody should read, especially young women. I love it so much. Next one is The Outsiders, which is about a bunch of boys in the 50s who they're like kind of family friends, like family friends that are so tight that they're like family. Some of them are related, but some of them are just really tight in their friendship. And it's more of a story of like, it's like the squares versus like the greasers type situation, and these are the greasers, but it's about their relationship, and it's another fantastic classic story that everybody should read. And there's a very strong friendship relationship at its core. A modern day classic is Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is more about a young man's struggle to kind of come into himself and grow up and deal with being a teenager, but it's also about the friendship that he creates with these other people, and it's just a wonderful contemporary. And I'm not even a big fan of contemporaries, but Perks of Being a Wallflower is amazing. It's such a really good story. The movie is actually also really good, and I just really love it, and I feel like everybody already knows that, so I'm just gonna stop talking about it. Another one is Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins, and the other two that go along with it, which is Lola and the Boy Next Door and Isla and the Happily Ever After, which the other two I don't feel as strongly about with the friendship because they're focused more on the specific relationships. But Anna and the French Kiss definitely focuses more on that core relationship, not necessarily of Anna, but of all the other people in the group. And I can't remember any of their names, but I remember that friendship group seemed like a really fun one, and one that I would probably want to be a part of in my own high school days a decade ago. And my very last recommendation is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. Now, this is also an LGBTQ plus story, so it does deal with teenage homosexuality, but at its base is the story of these two Mexican-American, Hispanic-American boys in the 1980s who are they just come together over the summer and become really strong, deep friends, and they share things that they were struggling to share with their families, and it really is about finding themselves through this friendship. And yeah, it goes on further into a more of a LGBTQ type of relationship story towards the end, but the majority of the book is about this strong friendship between Aristotle and Dante, and it's a really beautiful friendship that I think is just really strong, and it really has a really nice, deep message about what friendship can be and how it can impact you in a positive way. Well, those are my recommendations for books with really good friendships or really bad friendships, but books that deal with friendships. Yay! Let me know down in the comments below some of your favorite books with friendships, and that's it for me today. I'll see you next time. Being super lazy today, I didn't get a single book off my shelf.